Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Mike. It is Sunday, the 12th of October. This is my week ahead video. I've been away this weekend. I missed Friday afternoon, but was around for the initial big downtick. So I thought instead of doing charts today, I'm going to put the video out for free and share my detailed thoughts with all you guys, and hopefully it helps you guys. If you'd like to join us, I'll put a link in the description to our website, and we'd love to have you in our live trading room to get detailed analysis like this real time and on a daily basis. So let's start off with what we're looking at for next week. From an economic perspective, we have a ton of Fed speakers. They've all spoken already, so nothing really stands out. We may or may not get CPI on Wednesday morning and Beige Book on Tuesday. I will open the room up early if we think we're going to get CPI, but we haven't been getting a lot of data. PPI, same thing, and retail sales on Thursday morning. Outside of that, nothing huge. What does kick in next week is earnings season. This is our first week. We really jump into it. And so we get the big banks. All right. So the banks are going to start us off on Tuesday morning with JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and Citigroup and Wells Fargo for the big six. You also got BlackRock and J&J in there as well. So we'll have some good looks at that. Overnight, we'll get ASML, first look at a semi on Wednesday. And then we have Bank of America and Morgan Stanley. You also have Abbott Labs in there. United Airlines after the close on Wednesday. Thursday morning, Taiwan Semi and Charles Schwab. You got to get the idea. We got a lot of these little names, and then we finish off Friday with our first look at a pair with American Express, and we get Schlumberger in there as well. So, things are going to be busy next week from an earnings perspective. Let's talk about sentiment as we go into next week here. Sentiment, we have this big thrust down. Okay, everything kind of rolled over here on that big move down. You see the oscillators on the Nasdaq went from just, neutral to negative 172, slightly oversold. When we look for good signals, we look down under 300, right? So we're just starting to get there. On the New York Stock Exchange, we dropped to negative 200, just starting to touch that area. We look for a decent signal, but you can see where we come on a lot of these down to here. April, we got down to negative 256. So we got a ways we can go yet. This does not mean anything that's over, but we're getting there. Your advanced decline line is all plummeted, especially the small caps. Um, Highs versus lows on the S&P 500, plus 39 versus negative 78. We inverted very quickly. On the NASDAQ, oops, wrong one. What am I doing here? There we go. On the NASDAQ, plus 230 versus negative 192, we stayed positive, believe it or not. That was a pretty good sign. Put the call, big spike up, neutral. Market breadth, big spike down. You're leading down now on the NASDAQ, and you're pretty much puking here now on the New York Stock Exchange. So again, big change took place in all this. And need to pay attention to this because sentiment, which had been holding so strong, you can have a little bit of a lower high here on market breadth and really puke down hard. We look at the ES, you got this wicked candle from an all-time high the day before, all the way down and closed underneath the 50-day. All right, when we look what else is going on out there on the NQ, very similar but not quite to it. Crude puking, right? Crude is puking. This is you know, this is good from an inflation standpoint, but it also means that it's demand lightening, or is there just too much demand? We know OPEC Plus is increasing production, but not quite to a 52-week low, but that's a problem. Bonds, nice little candle here. This was a flight to safety, right? This will bring pressure off rates, but really this was a flight to safety. Gold, which had already been strong, held in. And then there's Bitcoin. Bitcoin got absolutely destroyed. There's talk out there of this sell-off. Figure who was left holding the bag. More than 1.6 million traders were liquidated, according to some data being tracked out there. I don't know if this is over or not. I don't know if this is a one-day thing. I will tell you that these type of moves give me flashbacks to the dot-com when we started to come, when we started getting there, these big volatile moves, which were just wicked. Then you come running and raging right back. So these are some things to consider as we come into here. Last I saw, Bitcoin US dollar was trading still within Friday's big down candle. So, we'll see if we can hold this or not. The VIX spiked well out of the Bollinger Bands all the way up to 22, right? So we know we can go a lot higher on this, but this is a big spike. This is a risk-off environment. HYG, which we've been talking about for the last week and a half, 2 weeks, leading down, not participating, continue to puke. The transports came screaming in, which had looked decent. And the dollar, which had been strengthening, held in fairly well. So we have a lot of different things going on here as we come into the S&P 500 this week. So the first thing you're going to notice, here's our April lows off the tariff. So this is flashbacks to that, these big down candles. Trump, don't worry about China, it's going to be fine. He's trying to do damage control right now because, he knows he just hurt his own stocks. He owned this crypto stuff. He just hit everything. He's trying to do some damage control. So here's the real question. What is this? Is this a 1 day down? They're going to buy it right back. Is this the dip? I will tell you that because it was later in the day, it was after 11, it was around 11:30 or so when this down candle took place. Um, you know, you're getting this, you didn't get any kind of margin calls. There's a lot of people that are probably caught and they are margined up and leveraged up in this, and they did not get called out yet. So the question here is what's going to happen with them? Are they going to be let off the hook and the market's going to come back up and they're not going to get called, or is the market going to drop more and then you really could see some selling? Because if these guys get forced to start liquidating, we can get another big vicious down move. We dropped more than 3% off the highs. I have to go put my numbers on there, but here's your 50-day. It's a big spot. This ascending channel that we've been talking about forever. We talk about how they typically break to the downside. Well, that was a candle from all-time highs, right? Look at the size of this drop, down over 3% on the day. Here's your 50-day. Now, if you can't hold the 50-day, start talking about different places you come into. You have this little bit of a gap here that was made here on this 1 day, this little area. This 640 would be your next level to watch. And then you're starting to really come down here. You do 640, it's starting to look towards 632. The real question you have to ask yourself, well, what is this? Is this a 1 day just fear? But there was volume. They had big volume here, 160 million shares. This was not like we've normally seen on these down days, right? Big volume, huge candle, a lot of selling. So we'll see. Right now, when you look at what's going on out there and you look at the pre-market futures bets, they're basically pre-market futures are up 267 on the Dow or 0.59%. So we'll see. I am hoping personally they don't just rip this right back to the upside. To me, that would be a very bad thing for this market. If this is the type of moves we're going to get off of this chatter and stuff with him again, we're going to have a lot of problems. We're going to really make it more difficult. Nice selling here, another move down, get 5 or maybe 10% down would make some great opportunities as we go into earnings season and reset some of these charts. So that said, let's talk about what's going on. Now, financial kicks off this week. They've been weaker already heading into this. You have this downtrend, big break. JP Morgan on the 50-day slightly better. Goldman Sachs as well. Bank of America, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo all much weaker. Keep that in mind. Names like PayPal, which have been strong and are looking good, absolutely demolished the other day. Hood, right? Nice hold here, still above the 21-day, showing relative strength. We're keeping an eye on that one, just as an FYI. Coin shellacked back to the 21-day, but held in better than I would have expected what was going on in crypto. MSTR would have expected a bigger down candle. That surprises me as well. BNF, what am I doing? Very tired. BMNR also a better candle. So we'll see how some of this stuff holds. Energy getting absolutely shellacked, not much to like there. Healthcare, sorry guys, I can't type this morning. Healthcare down, but held in better. Really interested in seeing what J&J has at all-time highs. That's going to be very important to hear what they have to say. China, what's at the heart of this? BABA got destroyed. The FXI coming in. China's threatening, saying, they're not going to back down. Realize what's been going on. China has steadily been doing everything they can to lessen themselves on U.S. reliance. So, at this point, you have to assume that they're ready for this and they probably don't care as much and they're finding other ways to do things. Right? All that. Names like Costco, down candle, they weren't trading well to begin with, but held in. Walmart would be very much hit by this, held in better than you would have thought. So some of these retail print names held in a lot better than I would have thought they would have. Names like Boeing have been getting shellacked back down. Cat, which could come into the center of this, got beaten up pretty good, but overall okay. Names like MP, big pop because if China's not going to give us rare earth materials, they're going to charge what they want. The problem is we cannot create enough rare earth minerals at this point fast enough to meet the demand that we have here. So you can talk all you want, but we are reliant on China for a while until we get our mining up to speed and refinement up to speed on this. So, keep that in mind here. Same thing with like LAC, right? Didn't hold. Speaking of that, some of these smaller names like SoFi, which were looking good, down candle. I like that if it holds the 50-day. RKT, a lot of you guys like that, held in just fine. Open, not so bad, but looking like it's weakening. You transfer around to some of the other names that have been going on. You have OKLO, you know, pre-revenue held in really good. NNE, again, pre-revenue in that space held in okay. RKLB came in after an all-time high. Can't really tune, but still holding strong. ACHR, I'm totally dyslexic today. My apologies. Held in okay. ONDS also held in okay, but all pulled in. We look at the semis, that was a vicious down candle to the 21 day. Nvidia already not really selling to China on their chips because China's trying to get everybody off of them. To the 21 day, I like that if it holds the 50 day. AMD, big down candle, it holds at 8 day, it's extremely strong. Same thing with Micron under the 21 8 day here. Watch the 21 day. That's the breakout area there, that 171 area. Taiwan Semi, big down candle to 21 day. We'll see what they have to say this week. Intel actually held in better than most, holding the 8 day. We look around names like Palantir, which have been one stronger, didn't even hit the 50 day, barely took most of this range, is holding fine. Microsoft, big down candle. We'll see, back into this range, it was trying to break out. Amazon also, which was trying to break out, absolutely hit. Again, they do get a lot of their stuff from China. This could be very bad for them and very difficult. Same thing with a name like Nike and Lulu, right? Their supply chains here could be all screwed up again. Tesla, down candle. We'll see. They have a little gap there at 402.14. It's still very elevated here. If this thing decides to come in, the markets come in, watch the 50 day down here at 375 area. Meta, which was trying to strengthen up, hit the 21 day rejected and back down into the 700 area. We'll see if it continues to hold that 690. Apple, which broke down the day before, had an ugly candle. They can be at the center of this. We'll see what they do. Google also held in fairly well here, coming back down. We look around at other names out there, names like Netflix, which would be one of the first to report. They didn't get hurt, not much going on there. And, so overall, Oracle, which has been another strong name, held in much better. Snow also held in fairly good, holding the 8 day. So everything was not equal here. The one thing that kind of bothers me is you had this huge downcoin move in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and the tracking names didn't react as strongly. Something doesn't jive. So as we go into tomorrow, we'll see if they gap us up. Do they hold it? I would not be surprised if they gap us up. Everybody's trained to buy the dip, and I'm sure they're going to come running back in and want to buy this dip. For me, we'll see how we react here. This is their first shot across the bow. We could use a pullback, guys. We could use another, 3, 5, 6% or something like that, get us down there. Whether we get it here or not, I couldn't tell you. He's already out. Trump's already out saying, don't worry about China. He's trying to do damage control. So, they might try to bring this market right back. So you're going to have our head on the swivel tomorrow. We'll react in the morning. We'll do our morning video and our setups before the market opens. And we'll see where we go from there. Earnings are going to play a big part of this week. And I wish you all well. Link in the description if you want to join us. I hope everybody's doing great. If you need to talk, let me know.